Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Hammered and Homers. I'm your co-host, Jacob Pearl. Alongside me is your mom's favorite little leaguer, the Hunter Malone. Hunter, how are we this fine Wednesday evening? A little later than what we typically do when we record.
Yeah. Busy Monday. I think we pushed it Tuesday. Love Island was on. Had to push it back. So we're recording after Love Island. Big Love Island, guys, in case you didn't know.
I haven't watched tonight's episode because I am watching the NBA Finals currently. So Love Island will be watched afterwards.
Couldn't care less about basketball, so I will not be
I'm
indulging in that.
This is such a good final, so like I'm watching it. I'm juiced. It's gonna be a good finals. Got a new piece of art decor for the YouTube watchers. My new goose poster. When I saw them in Austin back in April. Got a flying armadillo, flying raccoon, possum, a little bat. They do these like limited edition posters at every show. You get a unique poster. But the thing about jam bands is that they'll do two types of posters. So they'll do a regular poster like this. Then they also do something called foils, which has like all the reflective shit on it. It's super cool, but unless you're like a true like jam band like person, like most people don't get it. But those posters like resell for like several hundreds of dollars if they're made in like good condition. Like Grateful Dead posters, those things resell well. Same with Fish and all that good stuff. The more you know, YouTube watchers. Outside of that, we got a jam-packed episode. Somewhat. We got some Red Sox talk. We got some Cardinals talk. I know people have been missing that. I think we may need to talk about what's going on in Detroit a small bit because they are sucking. And then we got our All-Star ballot. We got Supers. And we all know where it goes from there. As always, let's get cracking. But ironically, me and Hunter are healthy tonight. I got a protein shake. He's got a water. Not very hammered of us per this show, but don't worry. Maybe we'll have a beer someday.
Yeah, we'll be better next episode, possibly.
Maybe. I'll be in Vegas next week, so who knows if there will even be an episode. So, going to Vegas for a conference, cannot wait. Going to an Aces game as well. Wanted to go to Game 4 in Vegas, but cheapest ticket I could find was $560. So, unless I win that at the tables, that I will not be going to the Golden Knights. But Hunter, as classic and as always, tell me about a guy I forgot about.
Yeah, it was. I always like playing MLB The Show and playing with like old guys. This is a guy that has not been back, but I would love to have just like an 88 overall Carlos Gomez, a little spark plug for my team, former Milwaukee Brewer. Yeah, like he was on like a million teams, but I really remember him as a Brewer. Originally a Met, then a Twin. Huge Brewer, went to the Astros, Rangers. He was a Ray for like a year. That was weird. And then the Met. Career WAR of 24.3, over 1,000 hits, 145 homers, and a 252 lifetime batting average. Wasn't the biggest, wasn't the greatest, but man, was that a spark plug for some really fun Brewers teams. Two-time All-Star. I don't believe he ever won World Series or anything like that, but Carlos Gomez was one of the more fun players to watch.
I'm going in my Cardinals bag for this one. This guy was on, I believe, the World Series team when we won, as well as when we did play the Red Sox in 2013. This is Mr. Alan Craig. Mr. Alan Craig is a guy you forgot about. The stats definitely don't jump off the page. 276 career batting average, only had 59 career home runs. Surprisingly, was an all-star in 2013.
He had a really good year that year.
315 batting average, 457 slugging, 830 OPS. So he had some juice that year. But when he was with the Cardinals, that was probably his best years, and then ironically, we traded him to the Red Sox in 2014, the team that defeated us in 2013. But Alan Craig is a guy you forgot about. I don't have
he was on the World Series team in 2013. I think
he was
traded mid-season. Yeah, okay.
No, he was yours.
Why did I think he was on our World Series?
He might have been on 20. Did you guys win in 15?
No, we won in 18.
Yeah, he went to y'all in 2014-15 were the other two. Hammered Homer Players of the Week. I don't think we're doing players this week. We got teams. Hammered teams of the week. UCLA and Georgia Tech come on down. Number 1 and number 2 overall seeds, not making it out of their regional. UCLA didn't even make it to the regional final. And Georgia Tech, we said they were the best team in baseball, in college baseball with the best bats, and Oklahoma came in and mowed them down. But the pitching for Georgia Tech was a problem, and same with UCLA. It was also a problem for them. So yeah, hammered teams of the week, Georgia Tech, UCLA. Homered teams of the week, Hunter. Maybe disagree with me if you want. But I feel like Little Rock and Troy are our homered teams of the week. Little schools making it out. Little Rock going to their first ever super regional. They were a 4 seed. Troy was a 3 seed in the Gainesville regional. Came out on top in that, beating Florida twice, and now gets to host
Cal Poly and St. John's as well.
Oh yeah,
Two underdogs that snuck their way through.
I was really hoping you say more there while I took a sip of my protein shake. I just over here just drinking away.
I think if we had a player an honorable mention to give it to, just to keep it MLB as well, I think I'd give it to Jacob Mizorowski. Posted a 2-0 record on his 2 starts this week with a .64 ERA, 1 earned run over 14 innings, and had 20 Ks in between the 2 starts. I mean, only allowing 5 hits in just the 2 starts is insane. Like, he has been absolutely dominant. Opponent's batting average against him in the 2 games are 106. It's about 3 times higher than what our chances are of getting a base hit off of a high schooler.
I'm trying to see what the Christopher Sanchez outing was today, because last time I saw he had, 44 innings of... He hasn't given up a run.
Shutout?
Yeah, a shutout innings. So I'm trying to pull up, trying to see here. Christopher Sanchez went 7 innings, 1 earned. And his 1 earned was in the 7th. So he went 50-plus innings without giving up a run, or just like shy of 50. Someone do the math for me. But the Phillies still won, but Christopher Sanchez moves to 7-2 on the year with a 1.46 ER. Without further ado, Hunter, the floor is yours as we got some of our housekeeping out of the way. Talk to us about the Boston Red Sox and the state of your team.
I'd rather not, as the state of our team is dog shit. If you include today's game, the last 10 games, we are 6-4 after we beat Baltimore. I believe it was 8-1. But if you don't include today's game, we are 3-7. We are horrible. It's a combination of we can't hit, and Brian Bayo continues to suck. He is. I don't ever ask for anyone to get fired or released, but I would love to trade him for somebody else. Give him a new opportunity. Greg Weiser. I don't know why we keep putting him in with runners in scoring position. He lets them in every single time. Like, it's honestly mind-blowing. We keep putting him in those situations, and it's costing us several games. I can't wait for Craig Breslow to get fired. I wish people would stop going to the games so our owner would sell the team, but unfortunately we're packed every night. The Red Sox can't win at home. They are on pace to beat like the worst record we've ever had at home by like 10 games. I think we're on track to go like 23-57, something ridiculous. Like, we cannot win in Fenway, and we don't win on the road either. We are a glorified AL Central team. It's been a brutal watch. So if you guys are thinking about watching the Red Sox, I highly recommend you don't. Jacob, what's the state of the Cardinals looking like?
I think it's been on the same trajectory. I will say we are in the middle of a really bad losing skid. I'm trying to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Today's 10. I think we'll only have 3 wins in our last 10 games. We're currently up on the Rangers right now, but still a long way to go from there. Yeah, they're starting to slip a little bit. They're starting to come back down to earth from what that exciting, start of the season was when we ripped off 7 straight. We're starting to come back down to earth. We know we got swept by the Brewers. We took a series against the Cubs. We're going to lose this series against the Rangers. So I think things are okay. I think the state of the team is starting to rear its ugly head. Nolan Gorman can't hit. Victor Scott can't hit. We just sent down Pozo, I think. We sent down Pozo because he also really couldn't hit. Pajes is okay, But we're back to the same issues that the Cardinals have had for years, which is, guess what? We can't hit. Alec Burleson is batting 283. Weatherholt's batting 249. Jordan Walker has come back down to earth with a 283 as well, but he has 15 home runs. Ivan Herrera is pretty consistent. Mason Wynn is the guy that I still look at, and I'm like, for what your like skill set should be, batting 239 is just like not it. Like, I never expect Mason Wynn to be a power guy, but I expect Mason Wynn to hit for average at least. And I should expect him to be above the 270s. And he's just not done that. He hasn't broken out the way I think we've wanted him to, hitting-wise. So it's a little frustrating when, like, we go through these spurts and it's these home pieces of Gorman and Wynn are just not getting it done at the dish. It's a little frustrating. Pitching-wise, I think it's starting to rear its ugly head. I think McGreevy is starting to he's starting to get battered around a little bit. I think teams are starting to figure out McGreevy a little bit. Liberatore's still kind of shoving, but he's not getting wins. So he's giving up runs, but the damage isn't too bad. The bullpen is still awful. You just hold your breath and hope you can get to Riley O'Brien. But Palante's not bad, but it's going to be the same state of the team. I think we kind of were last year. I think we're starting to come back down to earth. But you never know with this team. They can get hot. They can figure out something. They call somebody up, right? I'm expecting some pitching guys to get called up in the latter part of the season, like a Quinn Matthews, a Tink Kentz, Ty Pete. I think Ty Pete's in AAA. So we'll see. I think we still got some guys in the minors that will maybe get the call, like a Blaze Jordan and some other dudes. Because Nolan Gorman can't hit. Nathan Church is a great defensive. The problem is the Cardinals are like a great defensive team. One of the best defensive teams in baseball. Problem is we can't hit. So at some point, something's got to give, you know? So I'm okay with the Cardinals. I think we've come back to earth. Tarps Off has been sensational. Has really revitalized like the fan base and really like they dedicated the outfield section and there's just juice out there now. Like people come to games and they go out there to have fun and there's a lot more people. So Busch, I think, is rocking a little bit more than I think it probably would have been. But again, they're right back to where I thought they would be. So not living and dying with every game, but I understand the cards that have been dealt to the Cardinals.
Yeah, no pun intended. The cards going for the Cardinals. I think it's time for our next segment, and honestly the one that I'm most excited for, and that's Super Regional Talk.
Mm-hmm.
We have been locked in on college baseball since
Can we talk about the regionals first before we talk about supers? Like how effing awesome was those regionals? I also think the balls are juiced. Like I know it's the aluminum bat has something to do with it. But like there was home runs galore like day one of the tournament. Like Ryder was hitting home runs, Florida was hitting home runs, Milwaukee was beating the shit out of Auburn in game one. Obviously Milwaukee couldn't get the job done in the Auburn regional, but like, what a great, like, display of baseball from last weekend. And squeeze play during the workday, great. Elite.
No, squeeze play really got me through all of it. I was able to watch every second of every pitch. Commentators a little shaky on that one, I will say. There was a couple of times where the commentators were just like, okay, yeah, there's 90 games going on. Calm down. Because one of them was going, whoa, 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 whoa. And they're like, hey, lady, it's a fly ball. It's okay. We can finish our thoughts and then go, hey, guys, in case you didn't see it in the bottom right, Oklahoma homered. Like, it was crazy. So funny.
It was just crazy regionals. I mean, we got upsets. You had, especially the 1 and 2 seeds with Georgia Tech and UCLA going down. Like, Florida State went down. Auburn was on the ropes. Florida went down. Southern Miss went down.
West Virginia was on the ropes too.
West Virginia was on the ropes. Texas A&M lost after they blew 2 to US. Nebraska blew their regional. You know, Mississippi State and Georgia took care of business. Kansas, what a showing from Kansas, man. They got dealt a tough hand of a regional and shut everybody up. They gave Arkansas the business twice.
I texted you, I was like, I'm kicking myself for not picking Kansas. But history had told us Kansas will not win this.
Well, history tells you Dave Van Horn figures it out. That's the problem. Arkansas got dealt a shitty hand. So did Kansas, but Kansas, I think the energy in Lawrence was just. I don't think any of those teams were ready for that. I don't even think Kansas was ready for that. So
it's wild.
I think those Arkansas guys think like SEC ball's tough, but there's a different level to the Kansas ballpark when they're literally all on top of you versus SEC baseball. It's a little bit more like this, and the student section isn't above your dugout. So crazy juice out there in Kansas, but let's dive into these supers, Hunter. Let's dive right in. I'm trying to pull up the left side of the bracket because that's what I'm covering. Correct.
We've got the Morgantown, the Troy, Chapel Hill, and Auburn regionals, where I have Lawrence, Tuscaloosa, Austin, and Athens.
Yeah. Cal Poly, West Virginia. What a regional this is going to be. West Virginia, big do not die attitude. I'm trying to pull up Cal Poly stuff as I am like going here. Let me go. Wow, they got some dogs, man. Cal Poly. Cal Poly's got one guy, Ryan Taman. 18 home runs, bats .362 on the year, 56 RBIs. Pitching leaders, you give the edge a little bit to West Virginia because they got their go-to guy in Yell. 2.12 ERA with 8 wins, 100 Ks on the year. But Cal Poly, the bats were hot for them. All regional long against St. Mary's. Yeah, I don't think they played UCLA in that one. So against St. Mary's, I think in all 3 games for them, the pitching was outstanding for them. I think West Virginia and that crowd's going to be juiced. I think they're going to bring the energy. The West Virginia bats scare me because they went pretty ice cold in that first game against Kentucky, but they found and scrounged their way to wins, especially in that final game. Where they had to go find it.
That walk-off was insane.
But with that being said, it's going to be a great regional. But I think when I look at it, I still don't want to bet against the higher seed. But Cal Poly are demons, man. That's what I love calling them. Anyone who goes to Cal Poly, they're Cal Poly demon, baby. But I think that crowd in West Virginia is going to be super juiced. I think the pitching for night 1 is going to be better for West Virginia. And I think like the odds tell you when you win game 1, you go on to Omaha. So for that, I'm kind of leaning towards West Virginia. I just think it's more of just a home field thing than anything rather than like Cal Poly's talent. I think Cal Poly's super talented, but we're not going to compare UCLA's fan base to that West Virginia fan base. That'd just be disrespectful. So, Hunter, do you got any parting thoughts?
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head. I like West Virginia in this. The home field energy was insane and probably was the reason why they moved on and beat Kentucky. The atmosphere, they were there the whole time. Just that energy. It makes you want to go to Morgantown and be there for the next round. And like you said, the offense can cool off if they don't score early. That's terrifying. But at the same time with Cal Poly, anytime I see Cinderellas go on these runs, it often ends because of the pitching depth limits. So with with them having to go, I think it was 4 or 5 games, throwing your ace and now going to see West Virginia again, you're going to have to beat them not once but twice. I don't know if you have the pitching for that unless West Virginia can help you out with errors and the lack of offense. It's going to be very hard for Cal Poly to knock off a top seed.
Yeah, jumping into either way, this is going to be a great story because one of these 2 teams are going to Omaha. It is the University of Arkansas Little Rock Trojans or the Troy Trojans. Both teams are pretty much the same in terms of like when you look at their stats. They got Jimmy Janicki, 19 home runs, 349 average, 422 OBP, 85 ribbies. Clearly the best player for Troy. Pitching wise, they both got guys throwing sub 3s. They got Evan New for Little Rock and Hayden Smith for Troy. They got guys that can go get you wins. They got guys that throw strikeouts. 91 for Egan, 81 for Westmoreland. And I think these 2 teams are like on paper, literally same team batting average. Troy gets a little bit more runs in, a lot more home runs. But there's something about this UALR team, man, that just has this like no-die attitude, right? Same way with West Virginia. They have been having to do this since I think the OVC tournament when they were down to their final set of outs and had to survive it and get their way back into that championship. And then they took down Southern Miss and all the things. But Troy's bats against Florida were the biggest thing that stood out to me. And it's so cliche to say, but like something's got to give. It's either the Troy bats cool off and the UALR pitching stays hot, which is the strong suit for UALR, or the Troy hitting stays hot and therefore the pitching for UALR is just not going to be there for Little Rock. So I'm leaning Troy to punch their ticket and go to Omaha for maybe the first time in program history. Maybe. Got to look. I'll fact check that before the end of the episode. But I think the bats don't cool off. I think in a regional like this, best 2 out of 3, Troy is a much better team than Little Rock, and that's kind of where I'm going in the super regional aspect.
Yes, this is Troy's first super regional. I'm right there with you. I think the home field advantage is going to be a big thing. The bats, obviously, Boroff dominated against the Gators. I look for him to continue that against Little Rock, who is advancing to their first supers as well. Little Rock taking down Southern Miss in a come-behind victory, also beating Jacksonville State. It's just not, I feel like it just doesn't have the same juice, although you are riding, this underdog momentum. Troy's running the same thing. They beat Florida twice. They beat Miami. Like, those are dogs. Like, I think Troy proved they're the better team, and I've got them ranked higher than Little Rock, I think by 2 or 3 slots. I think I have one at 16 and one at 13 with Cal Poly and St. John's in the middle. I think the home field atmosphere, the momentum is going to help Troy. They just have less margin for error than some programs out there. But I think Little Rock, the depth concerns, especially in a best of 3, is going to be too much for them to move on. I think Troy moves on.
Yeah, in the game against Southern Miss, I think they pitched 3 weekend guys because they needed to win, because the guy was like, we just need to win this game. And strategy paid off. I don't know if he's going to do that in a best of 3 regional. So
it'll be for
are
game
we jumping
1.
over to the right, Hunter, or am I going all the way through the left?
We can jump to the right. I can go and take care of Lawrence. We've got Kansas against Oklahoma. So Kansas, I've got them pretty much in the middle of the pack, ranked as the 8th team best remaining. After taking down a Tuck, Arkansas team twice, this team shows that they can hit. I mean, Tyson LeBlanc, he hit 455 with 3 bombs, and they needed it. They had to beat a tough Arkansas team twice, going against Oklahoma, who obviously no slouch either. We're taking down Georgia Tech not once, but twice again. LJ with the clutch, was clutch on the mound. You had Dayton with the walk-off hit. It was just a lot of things fell right for Oklahoma. And I think they're dangerous. An offense can explode. With them, where I'm fearful for Oklahoma is the bullpen consistency. And that's a huge issue for them, especially if the starter can't get deep, or if they get in trouble early getting into deep counts, or if they just start walking a lot. Having that bullpen go several innings is actually really scary. And then Kansas hosting, we talked about the atmosphere. We've got the momentum. We just beat Arkansas. Like, that's where they want to be. Their problem is they're very vulnerable when it comes to games becoming high scoring. If it is a slugfest, they're not going to win it. And Oklahoma just proved we can hit with Georgia Tech, the number 1 team in the country. I feel like this is so balanced, but I do have Kansas moving on. Jacob, who do you have?
Can you still see me?
Yes, I can still see you.
Okay, my thing closed for a second. I was freaked out. I think I'm kind of in the same boat with you. I just think the atmosphere of Kansas is just too much for Oklahoma to overcome. And if Kansas shut down Arkansas, no offense to Oklahoma nor Georgia Tech, but I see Kansas doing the same thing to Oklahoma. And Kansas, they can hit the ball out of the ballpark, but the best thing they do is just kind of I don't want to say it's small ball, but it's just baseball. They hit the ball.
Situational hitting.
They put the ball in play. They steal bags. They bunt when they need to. They don't beat themselves. Oklahoma had to go down to their last several outs. And, I like Deaton, LaChance, and Brumbaugh are studs, right? 14 homers for LaChance and a 385 for Brumbaugh, but I just lean towards Kansas and that home field advantage. The thing about it, the home field advantage is it's more better for the home pitcher than it is for their batters. Because the home pitcher just gets juiced, man. You're a little crazy, and then that crowd makes you more crazy. Yeah, I expect and I think the Big 12 a little underrated all year, a little disrespected. I think Kansas shuts up a lot of people now, given the situation of supers and going to Omaha for the first time, I think, in program history as well. It's an opportunity not to pass up. So I'm with you. I'm taking Kansas.
Yeah, next up is going to be St. John's against Alabama and Tuscaloosa. I was locked in on the Tuscaloosa regional as we have. I don't even
I
want
got
to
some rooting
say.
interest.
Yeah, I've got a potential little brother on the team for upstate.
That's not how that works. That's
Yeah, potential little brother, future
no
maybe.
brother-in-law. That's kind of
Yeah,
that's
he's
where you're
still
going.
little bro.
Future.
He's still little bro.
All right. I hope he listens to you calling him little bro.
I will tell him little bro to his face. He will not
be
watch
like,
this. Although he is the reason why he was the one that said lock into college baseball. So that was where the switch came in. I'm gonna listen to him and see where it takes us. But St. John's advancing after the big grand slam to uplift the team to upset Florida State. Now, we said it last episode, Florida State is a bunch of chokers. Did I think they were going to choke this early? I should have. That's their specialty. But no, I didn't. I did not think St. John's would make it here, but they are here. And Alabama put up 21 runs against Alabama State in the first game and then finds a way to win. And I think it's 7-5 or 8-5 game against Upstate after having 6 errors. You look so great one day and then you have 6 errors the next day, but you still find a way to win. You go ahead and take Oklahoma State 2 extras with that big walk-off by Brady Neal, the 3-run home run. Actually, it was the top of the 11th, not a walk-off. To send them to supers. This team showed you we can win when we're really good, putting up 21 runs and making the score look like a football game. When we're really bad, we still fight and crawl. And when it's close and our backs are against the wall, we can produce and make that big hit happen. Alabama's just so well-rounded. I like everything about them. I mean, they have one of the strongest offenses remaining. The issue with them is the streaky pitching stretches that they have. When they're on, they're on. When they are off, the offense better not take an at-bat off. They're going to need all the help. And when it comes to St. John's, like, nobody expected them to be here. So you're pretty much playing with house money. The underdogs just sometimes runs into these talent gaps. And I just feel like St. John's, although we did just beat Florida State, I think you're dealing with a different animal when it comes to Alabama and the type of offense that you're going against. I don't think you can outslug them, and I don't think you can outpitch them. I think Alabama comes out of this probably 2 out of 3, or best 2 out of 2. I think they sweep them.
Yeah, I just think the Alabama bats are just going to be too much. Typically, when you see the underdog get out of the regional, it is very rare that they go to Omaha. So, like, the fact that St. John's did what they did, that's typically where the train stops. You don't really expect them to go any further than this. This Alabama bats are going to give them fits. And I do think the Alabama pitching staff concerns me a little bit, just a tad. And the errors were a massive concern. But if you reel those in and clean some stuff up, they get the home field advantage. St. John's, like you said, playing with house money from the Big East. But I just don't see it. I see Alabama going back to Omaha, and I just think it's probably not better, but it's just like it makes sense for it just because like they have Justin LeBron, they got Brady Neal, they got some of these dogs, and while they got St. John's got hitters of their own, I do think that this is where the train stops. Like if Troy wasn't playing Little Rock, maybe this is a different conversation with Troy, and maybe the same way with Little Rock too. You know, like, but the way it is, it's an unfortunate card you get dealt if you're St. John's, and typically the underdog does not make it out of super. So history tells me Alabama.
Yeah. And I think Justin LeBron is going to be the biggest difference. I mean, we saw him in the regional, with the power, contact, the speed. I mean, beating out a ball to the shortstop. I hadn't gotten to watch a whole lot of him. The wheels on him, insane. He beat out an infield single, stole second. He had third stolen, but I think it was like a hit, like he got batter swung. It was a third out in the game. I was like, dude, this is exciting to watch. It'll be really fun to be able to watch him for 2 games and then continue to hopefully play Kansas. But I think the next regional we're going to talk about is Chapel Hill. Jacob, tell me about Chapel Hill.
Probably one of the this is, obviously Ole Miss Auburn's going to be exciting and Oregon Texas is going to be exciting. But I think this one's probably the best regional. I'm going to get out there and say it right now. I think this has a chance to be the best regional this weekend. North Carolina, you can make an argument, is the second best team left in this tournament right now, behind Georgia. I think North Carolina, biasly is going to get to Omaha, but they have the bats. They've shown it, right? They bludgeoned ECU in the regional final game. They came back on ECU later. ECU is a pretty good team, so I'm a little worried about the bullpen for North Carolina, a smidge, but not entirely. I think you get some jitters. ECU's a really good ball club. I don't want to disrespect ECU. So, Owen Hall has been a dog. Nicholson has 16 home runs on the year, but the pitching staffs is where both these teams live. You have McDuffie, Glaber, DeCaro for UNC, McDuffie coming out of the pen. And then USC is led by Mason Edwards, arguably the best pitcher in baseball. 160 Ks on the year, a 1.43 ERA. They have Govel as well. And they're throwing Edwards in game one. And they're throwing Glaber in game one. So you're going to get a pitching duel, and who knows what the bats look like for either team. Augie Lopez had some clutch at-bats, and Ubron and Takuchi in that regional against A&M, but I like North Carolina here. I just think this team is built super special. The bats are just as good, just were a little less than what Georgia Tech's were, right? They have a better pitching staff than Georgia Tech. They have one of the best pitching staffs in baseball. They checked all 5 of my markers when we talked about top 25 batting, top 25 pitching, efficiency, the whole 9 yards. So I'm taking the Tar Heels here, but it's gonna be close, man. It's gonna be a great regional to watch. But yeah, I'm taking the Tar Heels to get out of Chapel Hill.
Yeah, as much as I want to differ with you, I think UNC is the second best team. I think the way they approached Ethan Norby, letting him only get to 2 innings against ECU, that's a top tier. That's one of the better arms out there. I like Ethan Norby a lot. Coming out of ECU, brother obviously plays for the Blue Jays right now. But the Tar Heels, they just look really good. They shut out VCU. You beat ECU twice. And just look pretty dominant all throughout, scoring 8 of their 9 runs in a hurry. They're getting production early, within the first 3 innings. So they jumping on you early, not letting you breathe, putting in that doubt early. That's how you end teams. And when you put them down, you don't let them up. Now, when it comes to USC, I don't have them being one of the top seeded teams. I've got them 11th, just a little ahead of Oklahoma. I mean, they lost to day 1 to Texas State. They didn't look good, but then those bats came alive, taking down A&M twice convincingly. The team that's been known for their pitching, they just put up massive numbers offensively. Do I see that continuing? No, that was very uncanny for them. As though it's a really good sign heading into Supers. I just don't believe in your offense because I haven't seen you been consistent in that aspect. It's athletic, but it just doesn't have the juice, especially when you're going into a road environment like Chapel Hill. I don't love it. And with North Carolina, it's a complete roster with pitching and offense. The only real difficulty I think I have for them is pressure. Pressure is a privilege, but it could also crumble you. And if it crumbles you, it's going to be fast, especially with USC. The lineup can get some runs on you, but I think North Carolina's pitching is too much. I think the offense does enough, and the environment is going to be a big difference. I like UNC in this as well. Talk to me about the Auburn Regional.
Going to be a war. Going to be a war between these two teams. Ole Miss just finds these ways to just play their best baseball at the right time. I kind of wrote Ole Miss off because they lost to Mizzou, but they kind of woke up from that. They survived Arizona State. They took down Nebraska in some highly contested games. But I have been convinced, and Auburn has found ways, not pretty, but I am convinced Auburn is still one of the best teams in baseball because they have the depth. They have all the markers. They have the depth of pitching. They have the starters. They have the bats. The bats did not come alive against Milwaukee. Neither did the pitching, but everything else kind of came after that regional. But after that regional in Auburn, I'm not confident about this regional going into Supers. I think Ole Miss is hot. I just think the bats have been really good, and the pitching is locked in for Ole Miss. They shut down Arizona State in big moments, but Ole Miss did have to go to extras twice against Arizona State. Where's my heart leaning? I have to trust my gut that I've thought Auburn's been one of the best teams in college baseball all season. Trust my eyes, trust my gut. Hopefully the law of average comes out and the Milwaukee team was just a force of nature that surprised everybody, and Auburn comes back to earth and, defeats Ole Miss. So I'm taking Auburn probably in 3 here. I'm taking Auburn. I also had Auburn in my office pool to get to Omaha, so I got to stay with my guts here.
I think I'm with the 50-50 with you, but I was leaning more Ole Miss. And just so we don't have the same picks, I'm going to lock in Ole Miss. And I'll tell you why. Ole Miss is exciting. They look good. They just fought through Nebraska, a team that was supposed to come out of that region and beat them. A scrappy Arizona State team. They found a way to beat them. They are playing good baseball right now, and they advanced out of one of the tougher regionals. That tells me you're battle tested, whereas Auburn struggled to beat fucking Milwaukee. It's Milwaukee. If you would have told us that before our last episode, we would have been like, there's zero shot Auburn will, Milwaukee will play them once and then go home. The fact that they lost, made their way, and had to make their way out of the losers bracket, it just leaves a sour taste in my mouth. Chase Freilich, just an absolute beast. Hit 6 homers this weekend. He literally turned into Cal Raleigh. So if he gets cold and he's not the offense, that's really scary because Ole Miss has arms. They've got dudes could shut down this Auburn defense, or not Auburn defense, but the Auburn offense. I think the pedigree and the arms are dangerous. Ole Miss's inconsistency is what's scary, but when they're on, and I think they're on right now. Auburn hosting plus a deep lineup benefits them, but that rotation just isn't dominant. And when games get tight like they have, Ole Miss is not going to miss. I think Ole Miss is going to have at least one come from behind win, and I just wonder if it'll be game 3 or game 2, and will it be too devastating for Auburn in order for them to recover for game 3. I like Ole Miss to win and come out of the regional as a road dog.
Talk to me about Austin, Texas, Oregon.
Yeah, Texas, Oregon. I'll start with a road team. Oregon, if they're going to win, the pitching has to carry them, and I think the pitching can carry them. If it turns into a slugfest, Oregon does not have the offense, the talent, the depth to keep up with it. And with Texas has a talent across the board and lineup depth that Oregon just doesn't have. Now, with Texas, on the other hand, they do have the occasional offensive cold streaks. I think with them having more of a cupcake regional, they really haven't gotten that punch in the mouth. And I wonder if Oregon comes out game 1 and just punches them in the mouth, how is Texas going to recover? Because Texas has been playing some of their worst baseball up until a cupcake regional. So did you need 3 cupcakes in order to find yourself again? Or are you just showing me this facade, and with it, I'm horns down all day? I think Oregon's going to pull back the curtains and show Texas is not that team. A lot of places have them as number 3 best in here, SEC, this and that. I think Oregon's one of the most well-balanced, well-coached teams out there. Situational hitting is there. Bunting, moving the guys over, making the smart plays, making the other team play defense and think. Oregon does that as best as any team out there. I'm rocking with Oregon.
I'm on the opposite side here. I think Texas in that regional was one of the more impactful showings that I saw of a team. Granted, was it cupcake? Yeah. UC Santa Barbara and Tarleton didn't really put up much of a fight either way. But I gotta trust in a small sample size that the pitching for Texas is going to come through with Volantes and Kozar, and there's another guy that I'm not thinking of.
Anthony Pack homered 3 times in game 1, and Robbins hit 230 with 4 homers.
I do agree with you. Oregon is playing arguably their best baseball right now. They have been incredible to watch in the last 3 weeks of play here. But I just feel like this Texas team, do you need a couple cupcakes to get the bats going? Sure. But I think the bats for Texas are impressive. I think the pitching can mitigate if the hitting gets cold for a little bit. Excuse me here. Is it going to be a dogfight? Yeah, it is. But we're talking 2 out of 3, not best of 7s. And I think just it being at Texas in that ballpark, it favors Texas. I like Texas. Get back to Omaha. I feel like they kind of got this like really nice road to Omaha for them. And I don't see them fumbling it unless for some reason they fall asleep at the wheel and Oregon throttles them.
The last regional we got on here is the Athens regional with Mississippi State going to Georgia, where Mississippi State, I think, is probably a top 5 team remaining. They looked really good in the regionals. Thomas had a 5 strikeout performance, and Jacob Parker last year, or was it last draft, a 2nd overall or 3rd overall draft pick. His brother JoJo taken 1st in the 1st round. He's been a monster. Mississippi boy stayed home, hitting 700 with 3 homers. As somebody we highlighted a couple months ago to look out for, and he is making us look like we know what we're talking about. Mississippi State, very talented. However, nobody's more talented than these Georgia Bulldogs. With both UCLA and Georgia Tech eliminated, and Georgia's the best team remaining. Like, mathematically, we had them at 3. They're at 2, especially after smooth sailing through the regional, the hot bats, the stellar pitching all weekend. They just look smooth. Like, it looks like an easy team. They've got elite power. They can out-homer opponents and just simply put them out of the games. The problem with that is the over-reliance on long balls. When you have a team as talented as Mississippi State and who can hit the long ball and keep up with you, that can be scary for Georgia, and it could also backfire for them. With Mississippi State, now obviously SEC battle-tested lineup, they can get stretched on the mound, especially in a long series, best 2 out of 3 like this. The pitching depth is the biggest concern for Mississippi State, and with Georgia's power, I mean, if they go crazy game 1 and get into that bullpen and stretch out the bullpen, Mississippi State is in for a long series. They need their ace to go out and get you 6, 7 innings. But you said Chapel Hill is going to be the best region. I think Athens is going to be one of the best regions out there. I just think they match up so well. I got 2 top 5 teams in the region going at it right here. I mean, it's a shame that one of them got to lose this early, but I've got Georgia moving on.
Yeah. One, I'm watching this Knicks-Spurs game, and the Knicks, I thought they were dead. They stayed alive and look like they're going to steal game 1 in San Antonio here with a little less than 30 seconds left. I picked Georgia in my office thing. I'm going to stay with that. Again, the same way we talked about St. John's going to an unfortunate regional for Alabama or like USC and company. Same way with Mississippi State. Terrible draw. It is what it is. Mississippi State has the full capacity to go in, though, in Athens and steal this regional. And I wouldn't be surprised if they do. Ace Reese is also another guy that I don't know if you said his name enough. Like 22 homers, 328 average, like 72 RBIs. Like, he's doing it all for this team as well. The Georgia bats are just fantastic, but I wouldn't put it past Georgia to also choke this regional away as well. Like, I don't know if Georgia is ready for a moment like this for what feels like the last, I don't know how many years they've been competitive in this college baseball. I got to do some research, but like, history tells you Mississippi State, right? They've gone to Omaha a bunch. They know how to get it done. But I picked Georgia. I think Georgia's going to punch their ticket to Omaha because they are the best team still left in this tournament. Like, them and UNC, and I just think, familiarity is a good thing with Mississippi State, and, that can be a little telling. So I'm leaning towards the Georgia Bulldogs here. So, Hunter, let's dive into, I don't know what's our time here. I guess we can make this semi-quick. I'm going to pull up the All-Star ballot here, and we together, Hunter, are going to make, because I think you can vote more than once on the All-Star ballot, right? Yes.
You can vote 5 times a day per email you have.
All right. Well, I guess we can both talk about our votes instead then, unless do you want to go through and pick? What do you want to do?
We can go through and pick.
All right. Okay. I'm not going to change my ballot, but I'll pull up all the people on the ballot. Does that make sense? So, let's talk about first base. We'll go in the way the website has it. Let's start with the National League, right? Hunter, who was your vote and for why? I think there's maybe three guys who stand out, but I feel like there's only one clear person who is deserving of the first base all-star vote.
Yeah, in the NL for first base, I picked Matt Olson. He's just been a beast all season, absolutely tearing the cover off the ball. I think he's well deserved.
Yeah, I went the same way. Matt Olson, trying to find the stats here, 265 average, 17 home runs, 46 RBIs, 901 OPS. Statistically, is clearly the best first baseman in here. You can make an argument for Bryce Harper, who's came on strong as of like 262, 14 home runs, 36 RBIs, and an 882 OPS. You could also make an argument for Sal Stewart, who's been one of the best rookies in the NL. 258, 12, 38, 37, 819 OPS. But I'm in the same boat with Matt Olson. As for the AL, who'd you go with and why? So together we picked Matt Olson, but I have a feeling you picked the Southside Samurai in Muntaka Murakami for your first base pick. You did not? Who'd you go with?
I went with Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Wow. You went with Vladdy?
Yeah, I think I just love Vladdy. I think the way he's been hitting recently. I'll see if I can pull up the stats. They don't give me the stats on that screenshot. Where was I at?
His stats are 297 average, 3 home runs, 24 RBIs, 777 OPS. Do you want to stay with that pick? Because I just changed mine from Muntaka Murakami to, I didn't realize they put Ben Rice in at first, and Ben Rice has been the best first baseman in the AL. 305 average.
I refuse to vote for a Yankee, so I'm going to change it, not from Vladdy. Now that I think about it, I think Nick Kurtz is more deserving. Nick Kurtz with a 288 average, 11 homers, 43 ribbies, almost 1,000 OPS. I think Nick Kurtz makes the most sense. I'm glad I didn't actually lock in the vote for Vladdy, the 3 homers and the 768 OPS. Clearly I was doing this at work and not paying full attention. So Nick Kurtz will be my lock-in vote for it because I will not vote for a Yankee.
I changed mine. I went with Ben Rice. 305 average, 17 home runs, 44 RBIs, 1.047 OPS. One of the best first basemen in the league. Second base here. Let's go NL here. I went complete bias. I picked JJ Weatherholt. Numbers wise, he's pretty much up there with most of these guys. I think maybe you can make an argument for 2 players who are better. But JJ Weatherholt, 249 average, 9 home runs, 25 RBIs, a 757 OPS. I went full bias and picked JJ Weatherholt. I am not even going to give you any other logic outside of that.
Yeah, usually when I think of second baseman, I always look at Brandon Lau because he always does really well. And I know he's been doing well. He's been on my fantasy team. However, is he the most deserving?
He's on mine. Not in the family league.
No, on Drew's league, so I get all of those. Yeah. I don't think he's the most deserving, but I think he will be an all-star. I think Ozzie Albies and Luis Arraez. They have Luis Arraez, the second baseman, as he plays second base for the Giants this year. He's batting .322. Ozzie Albies, .290 with 10 homers. But I think there's one guy that I picked up early, and I've been locked in on him, and that's Xavier Edwards. He's my vote, batting .311 with 6 homers and 20 RBIs. Little injury bug. But when he's healthy, man, he's so good, and I feel like he needs to go first.
Over in the AL, I went with Ernie Clement, 303 average, 5 home runs, 22 RBIs, a 775 OPS. I just think he's one of the better second basemen in the league. You can also make an argument for Ezekiel Duran. Obviously, my guy Luke Keeschel is on the card, but he just hasn't done enough statistically to get there. Hunter, tell me who you voted for.
Yeah, probably unpopular, but I'm going with the rookie. If, we're going to send Mizorowski to the AL game after 5 starts, why not Travis Bazzana after a month? That in 282, becoming an absolute spark plug for this team, getting extra base hits, doubles and triples. He does have 3 homers on 15 RBIs, but the 806 OPS he's just been a spark plug for them. Also flashing the leather, making fantastic plays nightly. This guy's an absolute beast. And then for third baseman on the NL side, that one, I have to go with the The Funky Muncie. Max Muncie batting 249 he's got 14 homers, 22 RBIs. I thought he'd have more. Clearly, with a lineup like that, they just all hit homers. It's not really stacking guys up to cash them all in on one swing. But an 852 OPS. Max Muncy just absolutely tearing the cover off the ball. He needs to be rewarded. Send him to Philly.
Yeah, I had Max Muncy as well. You can make an argument for Curtis Mead and for Austin Riley, but I think the consistency in terms of the average home run, RBI, and OPS gives the edge to Muncy. Third base here, I think there's really only two guys that I'm in between here for third base, and it's Junior Caminero, 281 average, 14 home runs, 30 ribbies, 887 OPS, and Miguel Vargas, 241 average, 15 home runs, 40 RBIs, 874 OPS. I'm going to figure you're going to take Caminero, so I will take Vargas just to be different and give him a vote here. But Miguel Vargas
is
clearly deserving. Him and Caminero are probably going to be the top two vote getters, unless popularity kicks in and it's going to be J-Ram.
Yeah, J-Ram's off to a slow start. Obviously lit up in the New York series, so hopefully he's on track. But I think Vargas will be an all-star. However, we're voting for starters. And if there's been nobody better than Junior Caminero, there's nobody more electric than him. He is the most deserving to be the third baseman for the AL. And on the NL side, somebody who's just as electric has my vote, and it's Elly De La Cruz. That's somebody who I didn't think I would be as high on him this year, but he's really progressed. A 280 hitter, 12 home runs, 37 RBIs, and 855 OPS. He's really grown, really shown into becoming a very good elite shortstop player. The offensive side is there. Usually his left side is significantly better than the right side, but he has not been. He usually gets on those cold streaks and just looks horrible, strikes out a ton. He's really just shortened that up.
Wow. I can't believe you went with Elly because I went with CJ Abrams. 290 average, 12 home runs, 47 RBIs, and a 911 OPS. Defensively is phenomenal at short for the Nationals. One of the best rising stars in the game. I went with CJ Abrams. I was in between him or Elly because Elly had some really nice numbers, but I can't deny the consistency of what Abrams has across the board with this Nationals team that's surprisingly flying really under the radar for how kind of good they've been playing. So I went with CJ Abrams for National League shortstop. Oh, I went with kind of chalk. I went Bobby Witt. I just don't see anyone better than this guy. The things he can do on the base pass defensively. The numbers aren't there, but the Royals aren't very good. So he's kind of the only offense. And with that kind of in my head, I don't think there's anyone better than Bobby Witt. Numbers-wise, you can point at Colson Montgomery has more home runs. I think you can point at Gunnar Henderson, who has more home runs. Bobby Witt has a 283, 9 home runs, 26 RBIs, 827 OPS, has the consistency that I'm looking for when I make my votes.
Yeah, Bobby Witt, there's really nobody else that's close. What he does defensively is insane. Offensively, if he's not hitting an extra base hit, anytime you put him on first, he's got the speed to make it an extra base hit, and he'll put himself at second. For catcher on the NL, I felt like this one's very easy. Drake Baldwin, just putting it together. With Sean Murphy being hurt the whole time, he's been the full-time catcher. 303 batting average, 13 homers, 23 RBIs with the 932 OPS. I mean, just putting up video game numbers. Absolutely insane. He deserves to not only make the team, but become the starter for the National League.
Yeah, I was in the same boat. Drake Baldwin, number one guy, clear front runner. You can make an argument for Hunter Goodman and Liam Hicks as well, but the numbers don't lie with Drake Baldwin. For AL catcher, Honestly, I'm kind of in between three guys here. I'm in between Dylan Dingler, Ryan Jeffers, and Shea Langoliers for my vote. Jeffers has the highest OPS, has the highest batting average between the two. Dingler and Langoliers are tied for home runs. Dingler has 43 RBIs and Langoliers 30, but Langoliers has a higher OPS than Dingler. I think I'm going to lean towards the Baylor Bears, Shea Langoliers for this. Again, when I'm looking at my all-star ballot, I'm looking at consistency. Way up there in average, way up there in home runs. Would love the RBIs to be a little higher, but he has a great OPS. I'm taking Langoliers as my AL catcher.
I can't believe you would do that. I mean, a Baylor guy, really?
Yeah, we picked two of them already.
I'll tell you what. Maybe I did pick two. My vote's also for Shea Langolier. I think he's been one of the best catchers out there, carrying my fantasy team. A 286 average, 14 homers, 13 RBIs, just doing it all. I think he's an absolute stud, and he deserves to be the starter.
Going to the outfield here in the NL, I feel like you can make an argument for several players. Obviously, you have Corbin Carroll, who is a base path monster, 925 OPS. You have Pete Armstrong, who's starting to get hot. We've mentioned some other guys. But here, my three, maybe it's an unpopular three. Didn't realize this guy had numbers like that. But actually, I'm going to take my vote away from this guy and give it to, I hate to say it, I am going to change my vote to Juan Soto in one of these. So I have Juan Soto, 296 average, 13 home runs, 29 RBIs, 959 OPS. He did miss some time, I believe, with a little injury. So the RBI numbers aren't exactly great. But the home run number is there, and he's batting nearly 300. I'm taking Jordan Walker, 283 average, 15 home runs, 44 RBIs, and an 882 OPS. I think most people think Jordan Walker's an all-star this year. And James Wood, man, this guy is unbelievable for the Nationals. 266 average, 16 home runs, 39 RBIs, and a 936 OPS. You can make an argument for Acuna. You can make an argument for Blade because he has a 1.019 OPS. You can make an argument for Carroll because I think you voted for Carroll. But those are my threes: Walker, Soto, and James Wood.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think Corbin Carroll is injured currently, so he probably won't get the start unless he gets the fan support. But he's batting 286, 8 homers, huge ballpark, so not a homer guy, 29 RBIs, but the 917 OPS is something that you can't deny. The big ballpark like that, he hits doubles and triples consistently. Another guy, amazing glove. If you put him on first, he's got the speed to turn that into a double, if not a triple. I think he's deserving of it, and I think the number one person most deserving of it is Andy Pages. You can't not put this guy in the starting lineup. I mean, a 293 average. He's playing every day. 13 homers, 51 RBIs, and 873 OPS. He started hot and has not slowed down. A lineup where you got to worry about Mookie Betts, Max Muncy, Shohei Ohtani. Andy Pages is supposed to be the one you could breathe on. You could be like, thank goodness this guy. No, he's been lighting it up more than any of the other guys. More than Freddie Freeman. More than Will Smith. I mean, they found a diamond in the rough in Andy Pages, and he is deserving of this. And I think my third spot is equally as deserving, and that's Jordan Walker. The 291 average, 15 homers, 44 RBIs, the 892 OPS. He's been on an absolute tear. It's what Cardinals fans have been waiting on him to become. The breakout, it's happening, rewarded in real time. Make that man a starter.
Moving on to the AL, my three are Byron Buxton, 257 average, 17 home runs, 27 RBIs, and 864 OPS. Defensively, also pretty good out there. I know Hunter's not going to pick this guy, so I did Aaron Judge, 248 average, 17 home runs, 38 RBIs, and I know 8 OPS. And welcome back, Mike Trout. 243, 14 home runs, 31 RBIs, 897 OPS. I look for consistency among the numbers. These three guys had it. I was pretty close. I think I was pretty close on some other guys here, like Carlos Cortez, 321 average, 5 home runs, 17 RBIs, 914 OPS. I want the RBI number to be higher if you're going to be batting at that 321 average. Riley Green almost got my vote. 311 average, 6 home runs, 29 RBIs, 866 OPS. But I just think what Buxton's done this year has been really great. I also did think about putting in Chandler Simpson just because I love using him in MLB The Show. So Mike Trout and company, those are my three.
Yeah, I went Buxton and Trout as well, and then on the third outfielder, I went with the J Show. Julio Rodriguez, 256, 13 home runs, 32 RBIs, a 773 OPS, and just really doing it defensively. I think he deserves it. He's having a better season than years prior. This is the first year I'm like, okay, Julio Rodriguez is like actually kind of living up to expectations. He's just playing phenomenal, and I think he deserves to be on the spot. And for the designated hitter, I think these are pretty much layups. Shohei Ohtani, Yordan Alvarez. I really don't see it any other way.
I went with Yordan, and just to be different, I picked Kyle Schwarber. 231 average, 22 home runs, 39 RBIs, a 937 OPS. So obviously they didn't give us pitchers yet, so we're not voting on pitchers.
We don't get pitchers. We don't get pitchers. The coaches do that.
Well, down the line we'll figure it out. But those are our all-star ballot votes. Hunter, let's wrap us up with a hammered 9 and let's get on out of here.
Yeah, hammered questions. And this one's pretty similar to last week's. Worst ballpark food when you go to the game?
The stadium nachos. Like nachos with the cheese, those are bad.
Yeah, stale chips and the cheese that's been sitting there forever. The bag cheese. Ugh.
Yeah, those are bad. I'd rather take a boiled dog than those. And it's even worse if they come in the little bag. They give you the chips in the bag. You have to open it yourself with the cheese, dude. Selfish.
Yeah, I got to peel the cheese off, and I got to open up the bag. Yep. Like, isn't that what I just paid $15 for, was to have this already ready for me?
Yep, agreed.
Name me one player you don't want up in the 9th inning with the game on the line.
You don't want up?
I don't want up. Like, you see him up, bases loaded, 2 outs, bottom of the 9th, and he comes up, and you're like, fuck.
Probably Shohei. Shohei or Freddie Freeman. Freddie Freeman statistically is like one of the most clutch hitters in baseball. But I wouldn't want to see Shohei at the dish. That would suck.
That's fair. And that could be interpreted 2 ways. It could be you pitching or
hitting.
You being the hitting. I left it up for interpretation.
If I'm pitching, I wouldn't want to see Shohei. And if I'm batting, I don't think I want to see Mason Miller.
What if you're a fan and this guy comes up to bat for you and you're like, I don't want this hitter hitting because he sucks?
Victor Scott. Nolan Gorman.
Yeah, you can't drop it. Nolan Gorman is brutal right now.
Yeah. I would probably if I had to pick between the two, I think I would say are you effing kidding me more to Nolan Gorman than Victor Scott. Like if Nolan Gorman was up to bat, I would be walking out of the stadium.
Name me an underrated baseball player right now.
Underrated?
Oops. Underrated.
I think it is Brandon Lau. I don't think he's getting enough love that he deserves nationally as being one of the best second basemen in the league. So I think it's Lau, for being honest. Maybe James Wood, maybe CJ Abrams. I'm a huge fan of Abrams and Wood. It's just a shame that the Nationals are just going to trade them because that's what they do. So I think I changed my answer from Lau. I think it's Abrams. I think CJ Abrams is probably the most underrated guy. I don't think he gets enough love for what he does at the shortstop position because there's guys like Ellie in that NL division.
Are you more of a popcorn or a Cracker Jacks kind of guy?
Love that's a little like salty.
What is one postseason moment you wish you could change the outcome of?
The rain delay for Cubs Indians so the Cubs don't win a World Series.
Or in 2003 when the guy pulls the ball out. Yeah.
Yeah, no, rain delay so the Cubs don't win a World Series, for sure. If I had it, I will say deep cut, non-MLB one, I forget what year it was. Maybe it was 2021 or 20, but the year Arkansas was on the rope, like Arkansas had the game in hand and they had 3 guys trying to catch a foul ball and neither one did. And if one of them caught the foul ball, Arkansas would have won their first ever baseball national title. That's a result I would change, and one of those guys catch it. Popular pick is probably the perfect game that never was. The Detroit
Galarraga?
Yeah, Galarraga. Make that an out.
No one's not postseason, but definitely a moment that like you could change nowadays. Like baseball could absolutely make that happen, and nobody would be like upset about it.
But yeah, postseason, rain delay never happens. Cubs never win a World Series. And if I had to go college baseball, it's that Arkansas moment where one of them catches the freaking foul ball. That was Adley Rushman's Oregon State team as well.
I think for me, it's the Jeter, whenever he runs over, gets the shitty throw from right field, flips it to Jorge Posada, and like watching it on replay because I didn't watch it in the moment. He's so clearly fucking safe at home, but they call him out and it costs Oakland the run, and then that was the Moneyball year. Let Oakland go to the World Series. Take away a title from the Yankees. He was fucking safe. Like I thought it was safe from the jump. I was like, why is this a highlight? And then I saw that they called him out, and I was like, this is horrible. Going to college baseball, give me one guy we need to keep an eye on in the super regionals.
Trent McDuffie, psycho closer for the UNC Tar Heels. He comes in there, shuts things down. He's a sophomore right now. Trent McDuffie. That's a guy you need to watch.
Name me the worst DC superhero.
The worst?
Yeah, the worst DC comic super.
Cyborg. He's just kind of like random. He's just like there. He doesn't like do anything crazy.
Like from Teen
Cyborg.
Titans?
Yeah, he's from Teen Titans. Technically, he's also part of like Justice League. He's part of the Justice League, but like he's such an afterthought because like you think of Flash, Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, and then you even think of Aquaman before you think of Cyborg. And also, I don't think Cyborg's. Yeah, but Green Lanterns are, like, pretty important to DC if you know the lore, so I don't think they're useless. Cyborg...
No, I think of them before. Like, I didn't realize Cyborg was DC. Like, all of the...
Yeah. Cyborg...
The Teen Titans.
He's a useless character, because if he's... Like, his whole thing is, like, if he short circuits, he's useless, but they're like, you can unlock codes, and I'm like, so can Batman. Like, with time and money. So, like... With preparation, Batman's gonna do anything, so...
Alright, give me the worst Marvel superhero.
There's plenty of those. Worst Marvel hero. I think I gotta go with... Hold on. This is bad. This would be a moment where I drink, because I'm thinking of, like, I'm going through, like, the Rolodex of characters, and I'm like, God, who's bad? Who's... Like, my initial thought... was when they did Internals, whoever, like, one of the main characters, like, maybe, like, he's useless.
I felt like Internals was ass. Like, all of them.
It was. Shang-Chi was decent, but, like, they also, like, he has a bigger role. He has a bigger role than, like, it shows.
Was it Moonlight? Starlight?
Moon Knight's great. I love Moon Knight. He's a badass character. The problem is like, they don't do a great job of, like, showcasing everything, you know what I'm saying? Because, I don't know. The thing about Moon Knight is that he's, like, great. There's a lot more lore with the, like, Egyptian gods, and, like, the fact that he can cut in and out is, like, a pretty big deal back then. But, like, one of the Eternals is probably pretty useless. I did hate Star-Lord for a while because he couldn't keep his emotions in check. And, you know, that's why he snapped the fingers. So I did not like Star-Lord for a little bit.
With all the questions, 9.
Is that 9? That does not feel like 9.
That was 9, yeah.
No. But yeah, I am pumped to see the new Spider-Man movie this summer. That is going to be electric.
Actually, did I go over the Shoeless Joe one? That was 8. I skipped over one then. Last episode, I asked you if Pete Rose should be a Hall of Famer. There's another band person that is borderline. Should Shoeless Joe be a Hall of Famer?
Yeah, he never really, like, participated in the scandal. He just happened to be on the team. Like, there's a reason why
400. Like, it was
There's
insane.
a reason why we remember Shoeless Joe for a good reason in the history books, is because he didn't give in to what the rest of the Black Sox were doing. So I think he should be in. I think Pete Rose should be in. I'm still 50-50 on Barry Bonds and McGuire on if they get in. So, and Sosa.
Same with all the PEDs. Why is that different?
Because the PEDs are direct physical enhancements to disrespect the game to make yourself better, versus Pete Rose, the gambling thing's bad, but, you know, he never bet against his own team. So it's like, what's the harm? What's the foul? And Shoeless Joe Jackson never did anything wrong. He just happened to play for the Black Sox, you know, that year. Versus Barry Bonds kind of has a pseudo home run record where if he wasn't taking roids, is he going to hit 700 and whatever the number is, right? It just
I think he
taints.
probably hits 300 or 400. Like he was that. Like he was good.
He
Like
was
a
good.
50.
That's the thing.
He was
That's the thing
30 guy.
that's the thing that's frustrating is that Barry Bonds was probably already on his way to being a Hall of Famer without the steroids. Same with Alex Rodriguez. Like
But in a world where everyone is taking steroids, even the pitchers,
I know.
you take it to balance it. Like it saved baseball, and baseball turned the other cheek until it didn't need to be saved anymore. And once it got back, they were like, actually, this is frowned upon. We're going to crack down on this. So you guys need to get it out of your system.
But then it's, I think, by the logic,
Like,
by
it
the
was
logic
green
of,
until it wasn't.
yeah, by the logic of like everyone's doing it and MLB never like did anything crazy and like, yeah, Barry Bonds should be in because like the league is to blame for it. But there's just something that's still, I think I'm too big of a purist. Again, this is probably why I'm like part of the issue. But he was one of those guys that didn't need to do it, you know? Like, I think that's what's frustrating is that like he was so good that like now it's tainted and he'll never be in the Hall of Fame. But it also just puts a stink on the home run record too. Like but then again, Hank Aaron's probably, pitching, he was hitting home runs against milkmen. So like both ways. So
yeah, that's all the questions I have. Jacob, final thoughts.
Watch college baseball. It's electric. I will be tuned in all weekend. I'll be in Vegas next week at the tables. Hopefully I have a lot of money. Hunter?
Yeah, there's no regionals nearby, otherwise I would attend. The closest one is Troy, Alabama, which is about 9 hours away. Something like that, 6 or 9 hours away. I think Troy's 6 and Tuscaloosa is 9, if I remember correctly.
I thought about going to Austin. They start on Saturday and I got to be in Dallas to catch my flight. So if they played Friday, I would have done it. I would have gone to Austin, but tough pull.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to watch college baseball. I think they start Friday, so at least we get a little baseball action on Friday while we're working. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't think I have anything this week. I'll probably be at the LS.
Well, yeah, Eddie retired. Officially official. So he has been your mom's favorite leaguer, Hunter Malone. I have been your co-host, Chick Apparel. I know, dude, I'm tired. Like, comment, share, subscribe on all platforms. We'll catch you on the next one. See you.